Hello everyone, this is Siege992 and today we're back for another brand new video, and there is a certain anticipation regarding what we're here to talk about, as there is an upcoming showdown that I think a lot of people are very interested to see the old outcome, as there's been a hell of a lot written about this. There's been a lot peddled and pushed regarding titles and tags about this upcoming matchup. Are Aberdeen the second best team in the country? How legit are Aberdeen? Just how far have Rangers are falling? There is so much getting said about it, ladies and gentlemen, but let's go ahead and just cut through 90% of that BS and just talk about the game that's coming, which by all accounts should give us some answers. And as we do go on this journey, as always, if you don't mind hitting that like button or hitting that subscribe button, that'd be absolutely amazing. We are now less than 450 away from 65k, so anyhow, it would be greatly appreciated. But I know we're all here to talk about the game, so let's go ahead and do it then, shall we? And as always, we'll start off by looking and breaking down the opposition, which certainly brings a massive challenge to us, not only in this game, but seemingly in terms of the season, as I'm sitting here at my time of recording talking about an Aberdeen side that's sitting second in the old league. Better check that again, actually. Let me just check the notes. Now, all joking and that aside, they're obviously having an incredible start to the season, because yes, they might sit second on paper, but they actually sit joint top with Celtic with the exact same amount of points, with the exact same run as well, both being undefeated. And that there is quite a damn impressive start to the old season, where a lot of people weren't expecting much for Aberdeen. There was a lot of questions about the new manager coming in, where they were last season, losing Barron, losing Majowski, especially the latter being their main driving force and arguably the guy that kept them in the division last season. He was gone to come out with a new manager, bleeding so many new players out, doing this and having the start of the season in, you've got to say, ladies and gentlemen, it's so damn impressive. And it's been interesting to watch maybe just the narrative of this Aberdeen side, you know what I mean? Because there was a lot of slogans fired out, a lot of sayings that was done when Aberdeen just started chipping away win after win after win, you know what I mean? Ah, they've not played anybody yet. Ah, it will end. Oh, it's a purple patch. Oh, it's a managerial bounce. Every single thing that was chucked at this side has been sort of proven to be absolute nonsense, especially the last couple things about how legit are this Aberdeen side, because there is one result in particular amongst all their good results that tells you that yes, this Aberdeen side is legit, as Aberdeen went to Parkhead in usual Aberdeen fashion. They were 2-0 down before you could actually blink, but something happened at half time that doesn't happen very often, ladies and gentlemen. This Aberdeen side stood up to Celtic, battled them all the way, and not only found their way back into the game, but actually scored another goal in the occasion, which was rightly ruled for offside. But this is an Aberdeen side going to Parkhead, showing this fight, showing this level of determination, and showing this mentality and work rate, which are two things that this manager has installed in this Aberdeen side. And you know what I mean? You have to give credit where credit's due. As much as I want to have jokes and jabs and have fun and everything like that, I looked at that result when I heard about it and I saw them come back for half time, and now I've obviously went and looked at it for this video. That result right there doesn't happen if it's in a Rangers shirt, you know what I mean? Us going doing 2-0 at Parkhead, I don't think we've got enough, I don't know if the word's character, balls, mentality, I don't know what it is, or maybe it's belief in that game, but something happened there that I sat back and went, alright, okay, this Aberdeen side is legit, because that there was a fantastic result, and again, it shows and bottles up and summarises them perfectly what they're all about. And where that does sort of summarise this side and gives you a nice little soundbite, I didn't really want to leave it there, because that seems a little bit lazy just to talk about that result, because yes, it's an impressive result, but it's an impressive result amongst a lot of other impressive results, because if you take that Parkhead draw away, all this Aberdeen side has done under their new manager is win every single game of football. Again, it's not always been pretty, but the foot ways to win. He's injected a play style, he's injected the belief, he's put in the work rate, and to be fair, the players are buying into that, as well as they just keep finding ways to win games. And the most glaring thing that we need to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, is they have found answers to domestic football already under the new manager, whilst bleeding in new players, whilst spending a hell of a lot less than we have, who's been around longer, that spent a lot more money, and again spends an absolute fortune in terms of the old wages, as they've found answers to questions we struggled with so far this season, as this Aberdeen sides went to Tynecastle and beat Hearts. Despite being managed by Naismith, who couldn't kick his own arse, we couldn't win that game. They've beat Kilmarnock, who went and beat us last week, and obviously they got that draw at Parkhead, whilst we went to Parkhead and were embarrassed again with the lackey work rate, desire and belief. We're getting shown up in every single aspect right now by a almost unknown manager that's came to Aberdeen to pick a side up who was battling for relegation last season, that lost their best player, yet has brought an identity that will work in Scottish football, and that is hard work, effort and playing the ball forward. As there hasn't been a single match so far this season and this Aberdeen side has been outworked or outran. That must be really, really nice to actually say, because me as a Rangers fan, I can't. And this isn't me being reactive and being reactionary to the fact that they sit obviously undefeated when we come into their house tomorrow. I'm not just reacting to that. I've actually went in and looked and saw how they're playing now, and as a Rangers fan, honestly, I'm annoyed and disgusted, because all the excuses we coddle ourselves with needing this, needing that, they've had a lot less time to adjust, they've had a lot less money to spend, and they've had arguably more players to bleed in a bigger project, yet they are much further down the line than us, and that's frustrating to me. But again, give a lot of credit to the actual manager himself, who at this point, as we travel to his house tomorrow, sits as an Aberdeen manager with a win ratio of 93% after 15 games. He has one draw, which was Parkhead, and 14 wins. That's what we are going to face tomorrow. And again, for me, the biggest thing that's changed since Aberdeen, since we last saw them, is that attitude and work rate. That is what the manager has injected, because again, he's not turned them into absolute world beaters and changed them all into world class players, but no, they just didn't stop working, they didn't give up, they didn't get frustrated, they didn't lose their discipline and just start randomly hitting long balls. They stick to the task that the manager has put in place, and they're getting the results, dare you say, like a Celtic with so many late goals and so many late winners, because they've scored 4 late winners in the last 6 matches. As the pressure's building up, as the expectations are going up, it's started to get a bit more nervy for them, but they're still finding ways to win, because again, they're just sticking to the plan. And that's why you're getting a lot of late goals, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we've had to say about Celtic for a amount of years, and now you're seeing it with the Aberdeen side. They're just disciplined and they believe in the project, and everyone's bought in. And that's why they're getting the results that they actually are. And if we start to pull it away from how their season has went so far, if we actually get to their players and everything like that, they do have some very interesting pieces that we'll need to break down. The likes of Kevin Nisbet will be a familiar name to a lot of us, a guy that we obviously overlooked and spent more to bring in a hell of a lot less quality. He's in and amongst it, but again, where he has scored some big goals for them off the actual bench or late winners here or there, it is up in the air whether or not he's going to be involved in tomorrow's game. So it's an interesting one to look at if he does start or if he is on the bench, but I'd actually argue it maybe favours him to be on the bench tomorrow, because he has already bagged 2 late winners for Aberdeen, and he's one that you see coming on with 15 minutes to go, you say, the ball will probably find his way to him, as he's just a clever forward. Because I want to actually talk about their other forward, and this brings up a very important matchup for me coming into this game, and that's Scholar, the guy that's leading the line for Aberdeen, right? On paper, you can look at it really lazy, saying, oh, he's just a lone opposition forward that seems to always play well versus Rangers because he can run all day, he's powerful, etc, etc. And I get why people say that, but he's got a wee bit more to his game that way, and it is that composure in front of goal, because yes, he can run, yes, he's a handful, yes, he gets stuck into defenders, but what makes him different is the fact that he's putting the ball in the back of net in one-on-one situations. We know how we feel as Rangers fans when we see certain number 9s at this club or running through on goal. Do we feel confident? Nah. Well, Scholar's already showed that. I mean, he scored a 1v1 at Parkhead, he's putting the ball into the back of net, and for me, this is the biggest danger, I think, and the biggest matchup that's going to cause the biggest headache, and we'll maybe speak about it a bit more when we get to the Rangers side in the video where we talk about the centre back position. But Scholar versus Proper 24 hours before the game is absolutely terrifying to me. Because this boy is rapid and he'll be on his toes on proper. And unlike the St Mirren forward we played at the weekend who took him to absolute tasks and bullied him, Scholar's actually better in front of goals. He's scoring some goals. He's showing composure. So that's a matchup we're going to speak about later in the Rangers perspective. But Scholar, I imagine, will be leading the line. And just watch the guy's movement. But to save us from being here all day and breaking down every player individually, there is a couple of other players I think that we need to look out for. Jamie McGrath is someone we've obviously spoken about over the last couple of years as a player I actually thought was a really good and talented player, and now he's starting to play at the level that I feel like he should have been at over the last couple of years. He's just pulling the strings, he's scoring, he's creating. He's really a focal point in this Aberdeen side, whether he is shifting in from the side or he's playing at that number 10 position. He will be a bit of a pain in the arse tomorrow, I imagine. And I imagine going into the game of football, it'll be Connor Barron that's on him, trying to limit and stop him from getting on the ball as he sort of makes them tick when the ball gets over the halfway line, when he starts to get in it. And obviously we've known from the past that he can score a couple long rangers as well. So that's one certainly to look out for, with another important matchup this time with Connor Barron. But again, when you start to look at it elsewhere, they've got real threat. We've got Duke now actually trying to win the faithful back after some interesting things off the field over the last couple of months. He had a fantastic save versus Celtic. If you actually, well, he did score also at Parkhead, but it did get chopped off. He's starting to flirt with his old form when he first joined Aberdeen, and we know that is a danger now. Again, it is Duke, so I imagine he'll spend more time diving than staying on his feet, but at the same time he's a danger man right there. But he's no the only one, and that's when you start to look at the 18, because a lot of these late goals and a lot of these late winners are coming for substitutions. Like the big Ambrose that came on the park, the rotations they're able to do at the wing in position to keep it up there, and the big laddies they can then sub on if it is more of a set piece game. There is very different challenges now that we facing this Aberdeen side than maybe the more traditional Scottish football Aberdeen side, if you know, that we've faced previously. They've got a real mixture of new faces, whilst some wildly old-fashioned SPFL players that can certainly make it difficult from the old set pieces. But that's truly it from the Aberdeen perspective, ladies and gentlemen. You might not like to say it or anything like that. I'd certainly like to be making fun of them and having our wee light-hearted jokes, but at the same time I'm sitting here getting force-fed crap and nonsense in every presser and every statement about projects. Well, Aberdeen are on the same project under a new manager, having a rebuild, having lost key players, yet they have built it quite clearly better than us so far, and they've got a clear identity that will be set from the first whistle tomorrow, and that is everyone works hard, and if your level drops, you're off the park. He's already made a couple big decisions, even the likes of Shinnie and everything coming off games, the captain at the club, not even starting certain matches depending on how it goes. He's not afraid to make the big changes and drop personnel depending on his opposition, which does leave the starting 11 very interesting coming against us tomorrow. But annoyingly impressed with Aberdeen. They are second in the league. Are they the second best team? I guess we'll find out in the next 24 hours. But they've been damn impressive. But let's move away from the Aberdeen side and get to the Rangers side. And I can't help but feel that this game is absolutely massive, not only in terms of a showdown, so how they're going to be saying, or any of that stuff. I'm just talking about massive for this club in itself, because it's going to tell us a lot about where we are in terms of our project, where we are in terms of our manager, and where we are in terms of a lot of these players that not only have we brought in to the club, but the ones that we're keeping around and forcing in to starting 11s. Because again, not to circle the wagons and keep repeating what we've already talked about in the Aberdeen perspective, there is no real excuses. We can't really just sit back and, well, we're doing this. It's a rebuild year. Oh, we're doing this. We're trying to get this. Oh, we've lost some big players, because every little excuse under the book that we could try and coddle ourselves with, Aberdeen's facing the same, if not with harsher conditions in it, yet we've seen how they perform, and it does leave me 24 hours before the game actually pretty damn excited, because I actually feel like the team, maybe naively, might come out sparking, or at least Clement's gonna try, because he's no a daft guy, He knows what's getting said about him, he knows the pressure that's on him, and he knows where he is and where the opposition Aberdeen manager as well. And I just feel like this might be the game we actually get to see something for the Rangers manager, something for the Rangers team, because I think the game will open up a lot more than maybe your traditional Rangers versus Aberdeen up at Pittodrie. Because look, even when we were playing well, even when we had some of our most favourite players over the last couple of years in starting 11s, we felt great about this guy, felt great, but this guy, our record at Pittodrie pretty much stinks over the last little while. You know what I mean? It's been a tough stadium since we've came back up the divisions to consecutively win, or consistently win, I should say. You know what I mean? So we are getting into these games and dragging them down, and they are really frustrating. But again, that part the boss motif that Aberdeen's maybe had in previous years, that honestly Clement can't really figure out in terms of Scottish football, and that'll be another discussion point, I imagine, as we go on the rest of the season. But that, I don't think it's going to be 100% there, because this Aberdeen side has got something about them. They've got a bit of football, and I think that's going to create some gaps that I'm hoping we as a football team can actually take advantage of and actually plan for. And we might to see a wee bit more for Clement, because yes, he's not figured out Scottish football, but when they want to come out, maybe, just maybe, we'll be ready to actually hurt this side and put this side away. That's what I've got to expect. And where a lot of the conversation has been about Clement and the opposition manager Jimmy, you know what I mean? It's been Clement and Jimmy, Clement, this, all that in there, and it probably has been right here in terms of the preview. At the same time, as they can only do so much, it then goes to on the park, and that's where I turn my focus away from Phil's frustrations and Phil's annoyance and with certain things that he does, and his constant contradictions of what he says and what he actually does. But that goes away, because as much praise as we've gave the Aberdeen manager, a lot of that's also on the players buying in, working hard, running certain distances per game, looking at this for the midfield, looking at this. They're doing their jobs on the park. Now, 24 hours before the game, I'm sitting as a Rangers fan wanting to see the Rangers player do their jobs, because surely they're hearing everything, surely they're seeing everything, constantly questions, constantly this, surely they've got something inside them that's gone, you know what, let's go out here and put a wee bit of a statement tomorrow, let's go and quiet some of these doubters. So I'm hoping, instead of bricking their knickknacks, which I felt like they've done quite a lot of, especially this season, I hope they actually embrace the noise and embrace the hatred and embrace the criticism of them, because they're getting talked down every left, right and centre, and the exact team that they are playing tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, is the exact team that's getting all the praise, that's getting all the plaudits. Surely that must fire something inside you that you actually think, right, I want to go ahead and get stuck in it. That's the team that's getting everything. That's the team everyone thinks is great. That's the team everyone's saying is this and this season. Alright then, let's go to their gaff, quiet that noise and extinguish whatever fire Aberdeen has been exploding this season. That's got to be on them as players. And again, where I sit here as a Rangers fan, I'm not exactly confident that they'll be able to go and do that, but I'll certainly hope that they've at least got something. And that's where the leaders in the team really need to start rounding up these players and making sure every single one of them knows what's required of them. The more it's no a result, you know what I mean? I know Clement's tried to say he got a good result last year up at Pittodrie and everything when we got a draw, one each, a 1-1 draw. I'm telling you right now, no matter how the game goes, if it's a 95th minute, I don't care what it is, a draw tomorrow is not good enough. The only thing that should be getting talked about in the building, the only thing that should be getting put up on whiteboards, the only thing that should be getting broken down to these players is a win is the minimum requirement for this game, because it's time to start turning the narrative. It's time to start showing the project's working. It's time to show the players believe in the manager, and it's time to show these players are actually worth wearing a Rangers shirt. So that's how I feel about this one, ladies and gentlemen. Right, Aberdeen's getting all the praise. They're the golden goosies so far. We are the wee ugly ducklings. I get that, right? But at the same time, as it's a game of football, can that spark something into them that we can go up there and get a result in a stadium we don't normally get many good results? I'll certainly hope, ladies and gentlemen. But again, it's shown these players, because the Aberdeen players are showing what hard work and determination, working their arse off to the bone is showing. I want to see that in a Rangers team, because they're certainly paid enough to actually show it. And that's how I feel as a Rangers fan. That's what I want to see. I want to see a win tomorrow. And for me, no matter how the seasons went, that is what the aim and what should be minimum going in to this game. Because at the same time, we're still Rangers. You know what I mean? There's got to be something actually in that. You've got to still hold the standards up at this club instead of chipping it away slowly but surely. Oh, we got a good result last year. We got a good... No, it's no. If you're no winning in a Rangers shirt, it's no a good result. Can somebody shake everybody in that building and remind them what this club used to actually stand for and what this club used to actually do? That was winning games. That was winning trophies. No, settling for draws and talking up draws last year, almost putting into the brain that that's what we're going to try and get the more. Get that out of my face. I want to see a win, ladies and gentlemen. Now, will I? I'm not sure about that because I don't trust a lot of these players, but I certainly hope with every fibre of my being that is what we're talking about. And again, it's a perfect situation for them. It's a perfect storm, if you will. Are they big enough to answer the call? We'll find out from the first 10 minutes at the old pittodrie. But moving away from that and my overall feelings, let's get to the actual Rangers team news then, shall we? Because Hagi is back from suspension, and the big conversation, sorry, as I bite my lip once again, is whether or not Hagi should be thrusted back in to the starting 11. And I don't really get this conversation because I don't think he will, no matter what is actually happening. Now, will he come off for the bench? That could be an option. And you know what? Someone that gets this and wants to really be here, that's worked his deal to really play for this football club, he might be what's missing for a squad of lifeless, emotionless robots that I've seen so far this season. That might just be, you know what I mean, it might link up with the Cherny, it might link up with Barami, it might just be a missing spark. But the conversation about whether Hagi should be starting is not really one for me. I just don't see him starting in any situation or any circumstance. So I look forward to seeing him in the start 11 tomorrow. No, that went ahead and said that. But we were talking about Nisbet's got something in him if he can come off the bench. They've shown that for the Aberdeen. Hagi makes this Rangers team stronger, and bringing him on last 15-20 minutes, as long as he doesn't get sent off, he could be a thing, and he could be the difference maker, and he could be the difference between 0 points to 1 point to 3 if he's given an option and a chance to play in the Rangers team. But that's how I feel about that one. The main conversation for me has to be the centre-back position, because the rest of the team, let's be honest, is picking itself. We're not going to be learning our lessons. We're not going to continue with the project. I'm not expecting to see Egeman start the line again, despite his energy with that back line, and saw how like Kyogo got in behind, and a lot of the movement that go behind this Aberdeen forward line. I think that suited more to Egeman's movement and pace rather than Dessers, who's a bit more obviously traditional, try and get on the back and then fall over and win free kicks. I do think there could be something in that, but I do think we're going to revert back to Dessers and Tavernier, because what we saw at the weekend wasn't a signaling of us moving for the future. It was Clement actually looking at Wednesday's game, knowing how important it is not only for his job but for the entire season, saying, right, I probably should rotate some of my favourites that are going to be playing no matter what. So I'm expecting Dessers, I'm expecting Tav. Sorry to everyone who wants Nana to start at right back, but where I would love to see Nana start right back to limit that left-hand side of Aberdeen, to limit the likes of Duke, because I feel like he could have a really good game and put the laddie in handcuffs. I don't necessarily think it's right back or bust for Nana, because something we talked about earlier, if you're still watching today's video, regarding the Aberdeen side, is the likes of Scholar up top, is the likes of Nisbet that's coming on. The rotation that they can do at the striking position, there's a lot of pace there, especially with Scholar. There's a lot of movement in there, and proper shown over the last 2 games, getting hauled off after 60 minutes. He's not doing well. I don't know if he's here right now or what's going on, or if he's still struggling with that niggling injury that he's obviously had and he's playing through some pain. I think that's quite clear. I don't know what's going on there, but for me, that's the biggest decision Clement needs to make. Does he put proper back into a firing line, which would suit Aberdeen's long ball, which would suit Scholar 1v1, and would probably punish us in this game of football? It's a big decision, but again, he spent the money to bring him in. That's one of Clement's guys, that's one of Coppin's guys. They're the guys that are getting trusted now to build the club. They brought in proper. Is he going to be put in there? And for me, I don't think he actually should, not right now, not until at least he's fully fit and ready to actually go. Maybe a wee bit of a spell on here to actually build his way up, because I look at the centre-back position, and if Soapy can't go, which again is a little bit up in the air right now, when the presser officially comes out, I'll let you know down in the comments as per usual. But if Soapy isn't at 100%, I don't think we should risk it tomorrow. What I would like to see actually at the centre-back position is that Leon Balogun continuing his run if he can play 3 games in a week, which I'm not 100% sure just because it's obviously Leon Balogun, but I certainly hope if he can go, Leon. But the other centre-back, I'd love to actually see Nana go ahead and play there because he's played there the majority of his career. The idea that he's a right back is one that's happened the last year or two, but the majority of this lad's career, especially in Dutch football, he was a centre half, and as he showed at the weekend with how quickly he limited and shut down an area of the park that St Mirren were getting so much joy and ragdolling the back line, he went in there, he's powerful, he's pacey, and again, more importantly, he's defensively tuned in. I wouldn't be against putting Nana at centre-back and putting him right on there because I think that there chops the legs a lot of this Aberdeen attack. I really do. The pacing behind, the movement of Scholar, the movement in Nisbet, again, for me, that cuts it down, and it might be the option that we might need to take, especially considering there's so many walking wounded once again in our Rangers top. So aye, regarding the Nana Tavernier right back debate that's gone on online, I'm not really seeing it. I think Tavernier will be starting, but I would actually start Nana at the old centre back spot and put him in there to use his pace and movement. And again, for me, that would chop the legs down to Aberdeen right down to the bone and hopefully help us go ahead and give us enough stability at the back line to continue to build in the middle of the park with Raskin and Barron, continue to build with Demande at the 10 and Bolton in there to go ahead to hopefully win the game of football. But again, it's all swings and roundabouts, isn't it? It's great on paper and it sounds nice, but you know for a fact it's probably not going to work even if they went ahead and did it. That's the way it actually goes as a football fan, and that's why we like to talk about it. But aye, I wouldn't be surprised if Nana was at centre-back, and I'd actually love it in this game, as I think this game suits him perfectly down to the old bone. What about you? Let me know down there in the old comment section below. And for me, this video's probably went on far too long by now, so I'm going to try and chop this down to the bone. But at the same time, I do believe as a Rangers fan, we might just see something. I know it's naive, I know it's daft, I know everything on paper. That's how I truly feel, and that's what I'm going to try and put out there, ladies and gentlemen. So I am going to predict the win, and I am going to go with back-to-back channel favourites, 2-1 to Rangers. I know it's going to be tough, I know we're up against it, I know Aberdeen's playing well and we're not really great at the minute, but aye, I think Tav's going to score. Yeah, that's the sign I've lost my mind, innit? Yeah, I know what you're saying, but Tav, I just feel it in the old grey bones, ladies and gentlemen. But until tomorrow after the game, which will be another late upload, by the way, so I'll probably see you Thursday morning if you're not staying up for it. I've been Siege over 92. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down there in the old comments section below. And as always, take care of yourselves, all the best, and bye.